Hello, good evening, and welcome to Gallbladder Games. We are here today to play some Dune. We've got snazzied up layout on the screen for you there, so you can keep track of momentum and faith. We've got character names, we've got their drives, we've got their skills. Millie and Pete have gone all out on setting up an amazing layout for this, and I am humbled and filled with gratitude. We are going to be having a go at this Dune thing, right? So thank you very much, everybody who's driven up the numbers on YouTube to bring out such amazing figures. And we're going to hopefully keep that going with this little show. Before we start, welcome to Gallbladder Games. If you're new, welcome back. If you're not, check all of our social media things in the links below. We'll do another run through at the end. If you've got the Gallbladder groats for it, please feel free to throw some at the Flint and Steel one shot. Or if you want to add to the momentum or threat pools, you don't have to name a person. You can just give momentum through a Gallbladder reroll doodah. Momentum can be spent by players to increase their chances of success and add extra dice and fun things like that. They can also give me threat, which would be a terrible, terrible life plan. Except it wouldn't be, because I'll probably forget that it's there. Joining me this evening, we have an all-star cast of fabulous superstars and Alden.
And me.
Alden, you can go first for that. That was an unnecessary dig.
That was fine. It's nice to have some humour. It's been that kind of day, people. Hello! I don't have a character voice yet. Oh, existential crisis. I will introduce my character nonetheless. My character is Morgan Graff, who is an up-and-coming house officer of House Dargush. He is ambitious and dangerous and known for being gruff. That'll do.
Aaron, who have you got for us?
Today I will be playing Isaac Roke, the Inquisitive of House Dargush. I am a Mentat, and I am very precise, and I am very discreet. You will not see me coming.
Will see me coming.
And if you remember from our character creation show, Millie has made the loneliest little Bene Gesserit. It's like the worst witch is a Bene Gesserit, isn't it?
Yeah. Gretchen Riddle. She is the an House Dargush envoy. She's not the House Dargush envoy. She's a very polite, yet ultra-violent Bene Gesserit, who punches and then just doesn't ask questions. It's just not what she needs to do.
Duty.
Yeah.
And introducing the final member, or maybe not the final member, but possibly the final member of our little troop. It's Louis. Louis, who are you playing? Lewis. Oh, God. The worst part is I've got a kid I teach who's called Louis, and I keep calling him Lewis.
Well, I am playing Dela Dargosh, the third son to the current rather useless heir to the house. Dela is driven and independent, and some people assume he's rather impetuous. He also loves a duel.
An impetuous younger son, a violent thug, a sneaky mentat, and a Bene Gesserit who can punch your kidneys out through your ears. Who better to send on a diplomatic mission?
You calling a thug?
The Dargosh clobbering squad.
Also, we are
Outside.
thanks to Beowulf and Non-Anomaly, we have 2 momentum already. So
I didn't even have to roll a dice.
Yeah. Okay, now when it comes to skill tests, the way we do a skill test is that you select the skill that you feel is appropriate for what you're trying to do, and the drive that is pushing you to make that roll. You add them together, that gives you a target number, then you roll 2 d20s, and every roll underneath the target number is a success. Every dice that rolls a 1 is a critical success. If you have a focus that would help in the action, Any dice equal to or less than the success is a critical instead. So a critical in this counts as 2 successes. This is good. If you scored successes equal to or greater than the difficulty, so I can require a number of successes from you, you have passed the test and achieved what you want to do. For most tasks, the difficulty will be 1 or 0. You can drive those down, which is amazing, to lower levels. So if you have an appropriate talent, you can reduce the difficulty by 1 to the point where you actually reduce difficulty down to 0 and you only have to get 0 successes to succeed, which is kind of cool.
But it's worth making those rolls because any extra successes could generate momentum, right?
Yes, extra successes generate momentum, which goes into a pool for the gang to use. Anybody can pull momentum out of the pool as long as everybody else agrees with it, which is cool. If people don't agree with it, I think you can take it anyway, but it might give me some threat. Or am I still thinking about soulbound?
No, if you disagree with it, you can normally do the same thing by buying threat, like by just giving you threat.
Yes,
it's one of those double-edged things.
No momentum.
Yeah, or if we have no momentum, which is unlikely because we've already got 3. But yeah,
you can buy an extra D20 with a point of momentum.
Yeah,
which is cool. And you can go up to 5 whole dice. I know. Now, we're all a little bit new to the 2D20 system, so if I make any mistakes, I take full responsibility, and will definitely not be blaming Pete.
It's all right. You can blame me. It's fine.
Everybody, you know the system better than I do.
Everybody knows I'm grumpy about this system, so it's fine.
But it's June, and that was enough to get Millie out of her 2D20 funk and come and play, which is cool. So, crikey, loads of people sat there in chat, loads of input already. We're up to 3 momentum. Thank you, everybody who's thrown some into the pool. Let's see how we go then.
I
so
think that
we
might
begin
be 4 momentum now.
Is it
in
4?
space.
Oh no, Michi's also contributed.
No,
I think
it's only
Mitch's
3.
was the 3rd momentum.
Oh, I
He's
thought
the
we had
3rd.
one already. Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's
Discounted.
definitely 3. I've got the special Twitch pop out screen to tell me when people do it.
There we go.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got the special.
I will shut the fuck up.
Oh, of course. And the other thing that I promised as well was that today I was going to do a 100,000 Garblag Groat giveaway.
You did.
Using my own channel points that I can't use because I'm on everything or in everything. So, where did that go? I set up a prediction and then it vanished.
Too many different screens.
Give me back my prediction.
Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Is that 3 seconds?
I think it's allowed, isn't it? It's
Is that public domain?
Peter and the Wolf.
Amongst yourselves.
Okay, so I'm going to give that 5 minutes. So there's
So-
a prediction coming up just now. Oh,
I'll see. We could go around the
Because
table
I
and
put
discuss
too
what we're
many
drinking.
letters
Lewis,
in
what are
the
you
thing.
drinking?
we'll fix this in post.
Guinness.
Guinness.
In
That's
a
like a
lovely
meal.
dimpled mug. I quite with a handle. I
was
do
my-
approve.
Great granddad's.
Wow. A mug with history. I'm hoping it's the mug, not the Guinness. That was your great granddad's.
We'll find out shortly.
Millie, what about you? What are you drinking?
I am drinking Brewdog Lightspeed, which is very nice.
If any of these companies want to contact us for a sponsorship and advertising deal,
We're
we
absolutely
will
up
shill
for that.
for cash. Or beer.
I'll shill for more beer.
Just
We will
start-
drink
start
on
sending
Twitch
it.
quite happily, please.
We will drink
sponsor
responsibly
us.
on Twitch.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, please.
Remember, kids, when it stops being fun, just stop.
Yeah.
But it won't on Twitch.
Okie dokie. Here we go then. I've set up my free channel points thing. 5 minutes time. That's going to run for a
Who
little while.
wants free channel point? Is there a no option? Not me. Don't select this.
And then Millie can close it down in 5 or 10 minutes' time, and
What if I
loads
get
of
it
people can have
wrong?
loads of free channel points, and it'll be
I
great.
put my money on the wrong side.
Please
I
don't
understand.
bet on pink. It's like the worst roulette choice.
I'm going to bet on pink.
It's like betting on a coin flip for edge.
I bet on pink. Was I not meant to bet on pink?
So, we begin then in space.
It's space.
Voice of an old lady is heard, still quite strong despite its age, but you can tell it's from an older lady. She's talking about the houses of the Landsrad. She speaks of House Arrakis, once a great house, now reduced to little more than ash, robbed of the spice, the greatest product in the galaxy. But this is not the story of Arrakis, but rather of their followers. And space zooms in on a gas giant planet. And as we round the gas giant, a small green moon orbits the gas giant, zooming in on that. The forest moon of Darga in Epsilon Eridani, ancestral seat of House Dargush, a minor house of the Arrakis clan, skilled, well-informed, and masters of producing the finest lenses in the galaxy. Some say they have use in spying equipment, but Dargush prefers to say that they're used in equipment. How they are used is not the house's responsibility. They simply produce the best lenses. We fly in over temperate woodlands. A few large industrial but non-polluting cities dot the forests, sweeping low over large, wide beaches in huge bays with digging tools, lifting up crates of sand, bagging it up and driving it off to the cities. Happy people are in the streets. Nobody seems particularly distraught or depressed. Everybody seems to have enough to eat. People seem well fed and quite content. Very little crime is evident. There's very little dirt and grime in the streets of the cities, and next to none in the small rural communities that are at one with nature. And we zoom into the ancestral house of Dargush, a palace built on a cliff overlooking one of the largest bays on the moon, and a shuttle bearing the Dargush crest is just landing from a highliner in orbit on the landing pad. The shuttle lands, and out steps young Dela Dargush, fresh from the school on Ginaz, where he's just completed and graduated his training as a sword master. Puffed up, proud of himself, wearing his blade like a champion. Dela, over to you.
I'll walk out quite ceremoniously. Is there anyone
What you
there to
wearing?
meet me? Sort of something vaguely tunicky in a vague military style with like a similar neckline but cut along the breast, but in green with a yellow rim around it.
The house colours, of course, the green of Dargush with the golden sand lantern that represents their knowledge and their product. And there to meet you is your grandmother's spy master, the Mentat Selah Arachne, a woman who you know to be approaching the end of her second century now, but also someone who is renowned for her cunning and information. Her lips are stained almost entirely red with the juice of sappho, and a small contingent of house guards stands at attention on either side of the path lining the route to the house. She steps forwards with her hands clasped in front of her and bows slightly. Master Dargush, your grandmother wishes to speak with you on the terrace.
Of course. Lead the way, sailor. How have you been?
I am well. The house is well. I hear you have completed your training and can now be named as a swordmaster.
Well, Swordmaster training went well, but maybe I need to get a few jewels in the bag to really get the title out there. But that's for another time. What does Grandmater want from me?
Well, I believe that your stay will be short rather than long. She has a job for you and some of the other younger members of the house to undertake.
Oh,
I'm sure she
really?
will explain all when you get there.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the rest of you have already been called out to the terrace, which is generally considered something of an honor because being invited to meet grandmother, grandmother is what everybody affectionately calls the head of the house, the Marquess Sabotaged, leader of House Dargush for these last 50 years and known to hold the house in an iron fist and a velvet glove at the same time. Ooh, a raid. Hello, Nidio Necros. Thank you for your raid. And so the rest of you are waiting on the terrace. In a small huddle, there are a number of guards posted around the place, keeping an eye on things. There are a few long rifles in view out on the balcony, probably a few others that aren't in view further in. Most of the guards are carrying a halberd, which is a much more ceremonial instrument than a blade or anything else. They're there for show more than actual work. So you've been summoned to Grandmother's Terrace with little explanation as to why, pulled away from your various duties. What would you say to one another while you wait?
I don't think Gretchen would say much, if I'm honest. She'd probably acknowledge everybody's existence, but mostly just be like, "We're here, you're here. It's good to see everybody."
Yes, have you heard any reason for why we have been summoned to speak with the grandmother?
No reason was provided, then I didn't feel we needed to question.
We need no reason. She is the house, and we obey the house.
Isaac, do you want to make the first roll?
Let's do it.
Pick a skill and a drive.
So
one
I'm going to
skill
go
and one drive.
understand and duty, I think, to try to get a better understanding of what it is, why we could possibly be brought here for this. What's my
do you
difficulty?
have a focus that you think might help?
I do. Not really. Danger sense would be my focus for understand, and that doesn't necessarily
really
apply
no.
here.
This is more of an information gathering kind of.
But I do have traits that might lower the difficulty.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'll just roll the 2 dice. Don't need to roll momentum here. So we're looking for a target number of under a 13. And I got 2 successes.
Excellent.
Ooh.
More than sufficient for you to realize there's a Gil Highliner in orbit above the moon. You know they've dropped Dela back off. He was on his way back. Dela is impetuous, reckless, but something of grandmother's favorite. You also know that the Highliner is bound for Arrakis, where there is a little bit of political upheaval. The year is 10156, and Emperor Shaddam has just announced that his right-hand man, Count Fenring, will be taking over control of Arrakis as Imperial Observer from House Harkonnen. Now, House Harkonnen has for the last 3 years run it under the new Baron, a young man by the name of Vladimir. And he has proclaimed a week-long festival in honor of the handover and invited many, many houses. Now, generally, a lot of people would snub the Harkonnens given the opportunity. They're a uppity clan who rather fancy themselves, but people are intrigued about this young Vladimir, the new Baron, who replaced his brother Abulard under somewhat suspicious circumstances in the not distant past.
I would say, sister, that it would be wise to pack your bag. I do not think that we will be long for our home.
What do you know?
Know is a very strong word, my friend. Based on the information at hand, a Highliner still in orbit, ready to leave for Arrakis, and Dela returning, with us summoned to the grandmother, I would suspect, not know, but suspect that we will be accompanying him to Arrakis for the festival there.
At which point the double doors into the receiving room open, and in strides Dela with Scylla Arachne, who's not your boss, Isaac, but it's one of the worst kept secrets that she's the spy master and has been for a very long time. Interesting that it's her and not Algul Raz who is here. He is your boss, with the lady of the house, and suggests, well, it suggests whatever you might believe it suggests.
Do I see the little party of the three of them?
Yeah, the three of them are sort of stood off to one side near a table that's got drinks and some small snacks on it.
I assess the young heir having returned from his fighting training.
I'll nod
He's got a bit
friendly
of swagger to him.
as I walk past, wondering who the hell are these people?
They're retainers of the house. You would recognize them. They're quite significant retainers. They're recent acquisitions in many ways, or people who have been promoted up through the ranks in the case of Mr. Morgan. But they are of an age and a similar sort of level of importance to you as grandmother's advisors are to her. So it doesn't take a genius to work out that she's setting you up with your own little posse. At the same time as you enter, from a side door, in comes your aunt, Ariana Dargosh, who doesn't look much older than you, but is a highly trained Bene Gesserit adept, and therefore has somewhat minuscule control over her body functions and systems. She nods to you and to Gretchen and stands to one side, smoothing down the front of her dress, which is also in house colours. The green is underneath the gold on her, though. And grandmother comes in off the balcony with a flower and a pair of saboteurs in her hand. She just passes the saboteurs off to one of the guards, who takes it with his other hand on a halberd and sort of stashes it in his belt. And she's twirling this flower in her hand as she comes in, and she opens her arms. Your grandmother is a very old lady. She's well into her 80s. Looks a little bit like a raisin. She's probably only about 4.5 feet tall, but she is definitely someone with whom not to mess. Her hair is immaculate and adorned with pearls from the bay and silver from the mines. Around her neck, she wears a family lens in a platinum setting, denoting her importance in the house. And she opens her arms to you and says, Taylor, dear boy, do come and give your grandmother a hug.
Grandmater, and I will approach quite enthusiastically.
So she gives you a big hug and says, get yourself some snacks, my boy. You've had a long journey. You can't have a discussion on an empty stomach.
I'll grab a few hand snacks. Say, how's Peter? Still painting?
Yes, still painting. He's trying to work out a way of using excess wine to power the tractors on the beach instead of doing something useful. But enough of that. We're not here to talk about him. I have a mission for you and the rest of you. Come. Take a drink, take some snacks, and sit. And she sits herself down at a low table with big, comfy armchairs.
Morgan is going to look very uncomfortable at the idea of sitting in this august company.
Isaac would just quietly move to a seat and sit down without taking any drinks or snacks.
I'll sit down in that sort of other sci-fi, but that Klingon-y way where they sit in chairs with one arm.
You're going to adopt the bisexual seating pattern and just kind of throw yourself onto a chair with one leg flung over the side of it.
Not quite that much, but sort of recline backwards and lean on
someone who is
one
totally
arm,
at ease in Granny's front room.
Yeah.
There a military stool I can just steal off one of the guards or something. Not happy with the cushion.
There is a footstool there that you kind of perch yourself on at attention sitting down, if such a thing is possible.
Gripping onto my staff of office. It's not a mace, honest. It's a staff.
Totally a staff of office. Well, children, I have a job for all of you. I am assigning you three permanently to Dela. Assigning sounds so horribly formal. I wish for you to assist my grandson in your own inimitable styles. You are all excellent servants of this house. You have served us well since you joined us, and I believe your service deserves recognition. And she pops a small, sweet pastry into her mouth. Seems to contemplate it for a moment. Little sip of tea, puts that back down. Says, well, I'm sure you've probably heard the news. She kind of looks at Isaac as she says this. But it seems the Emperor has seen fit to remove the Harkonnens from office on Arrakis, which is a terrible shame for them. It's actually quite good news for us and presents an opportunity for House Dargush to make back some of the gains that we have lost since the Brachis lost Arrakis 50 years ago. I have a number of contacts on planet that need to be reactivated. I also want to know what this new Imperial Overseer is like, this Fenring. I've heard a great many things through your aunt and through the grapevine. Ariana Dargush looks displeased. Her lips purse ever so slightly at the mention of Fenring. And I also don't believe the Harkonnens will just leave. So I'm intrigued to see what sort of things might be going on. Now, we've received an invite, as have all of the houses, greats and minor, to attend the festival that awful but handsome young Baron is throwing for Fenring when he arrives. I would like you to attend the festival. You have an invite. You are entitled to take a staff with you. These will be your staff. And I believe Sergeant Gruff, you can take a portion of your men with you as a retinue.
Thank you,
Your
Grandmama.
command will suffice for an honor guard, I believe.
Look,
They will bring honor to your heir.
I believe I know which one's the staff.
I want you to go to the party, Dela. you're going to put in for the face of the house. I'm not sending your father because he would swan around and make ridiculous small talk. And I don't think the Harkonnens are worthy of that level of esteem. So sending a grandson does me a service in that we represent the family, but at the same time, we don't send someone who is deemed to be the frontline heir. This also serves you as it makes you appear less threatening to your brothers,
Well,
which may serve you well in the long term.
I'll be
Correct
my
you.
usual charming self.
I'm sending you with him as our acting envoy. Ariana is too well known. Her training too obvious, her skills too well understood. You are to go and use the skills of your sisterhood to support Dela. Isaac, as Mentat that does not drink the juice of Sappho, you are perfect because many will not know your role. And Morgan, you are representing the house as honor guard.
Yes,
Now there is a
Mom.
shuttle waiting, so I'll need you to pack your things and be ready to go as soon as you can. If you need anything in particular from the house, just requisition it. Salah will be able to arrange for it to be placed on the shuttle for you. I've had a Thopter sent up to the Highliner that you can use on behalf of the house rather than renting one when you're there. I don't trust those Harkonnen machines. So imprecise and so ugly. But if there's anything else you need, request it and it's yours.
Very
Thank you,
good.
grandmother.
Otherwise, congratulations on your first job. Don't mess it up.
Thank you.
No, grandmother.
Well, I've heard beginnings are a dangerous time. We'll do our best, I suppose.
I know you will, dear boy. And she gives you the flower that she cut earlier.
Put it in between one of my lapels or something. Medals, whatever I've got on my uniform that will fit.
Braiding.
Braiding. Overly,
Pierce braiding.
overly ambitious brocading all the way down. There's an idea. Sort of like a Tsar jacket.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you want to do before you go and get on the shuttle, or anybody that you want to talk to? You have access to all the resources of the house.
Isaac, you called it right.
It was inevitable, the only path that could have gone forward from the convoluence of
Yes,
what
you
we're
use
seeing.
too many syllables and too many words, but you are often correct.
I can understand what you are saying, Morgan. I will try to be more brief for you.
Do you have any tactical advice for outfitting the honor guard?
Well, on Arrakis, as long as you're inside the cities, personal shields are fine, but you cannot use them in the desert, from what I understand. I expect blades. Short blades would probably be acceptable inside the festival, but I would not expect to see anything else. Personally, myself, I am going to requisition a half shield and a small dart gun and perhaps a second bodkin. Things that are easily concealable while we're inside the party.
And if
Yes,
we
nobody
should have to,
is banned from wearing a knife, even in the presence of the Emperor a lot of the time. It's assumed that people wear daggers or knives of some kind.
is there anything else we should know? Briefly.
How much do we know about Arrakis? Have we been to Arrakis before, or is it
Nothing more than you'd have learned in school, really. Arrakis is the only place in the universe where spice comes from.
Alright,
And spice is necessary for the navigators, for the Bene Gesserit, for the Mentats to an extent.
I'm thinking more of like the customs and stuff. So I know they're going to spill a load of water on the floor when we get there, because that's what they do. So I'm thinking like in the terms of like, should we take some monogrammed towels to fill the water with so they know who's there and that kind of stuff, and like the envoy shit.
Interesting idea. So let's make a roll and find out.
I do have the Mentat discipline, so I get one free D20 if I'm trying to recall knowledge.
That's true.
I could try. Or
That
I could
sounds to
assist.
me like an understand plus truth roll.
Sure. Yep. I like that. So that's a base 14. I'll spend one momentum so I can get the second one for free. So I'll roll 4 dice with a no focus, really, or no statement, really. It's acting within the statement. It's not really acting contrary to the statement because I'm trying to control the truth. So they need the truth. So I got 2 1s and a 4.
What?
And a 19, but
4 successes, which
4
is
successes.
astronomical.
We know everything.
So
Grandmother
yeah,
chose well.
do you have one of those talents that, like, if you obtain knowledge with this role, you're going to ask about 17 questions?
no, it just gives me an extra D20 to recall knowledge. The rest of my stuff.
I mean, that would
the other
qualify
talents are
for investigating knowledge whose very existence has been hidden. So you've obviously made something of a study of Arrakis at some point in your training, and you are aware of the desert tribes and some of their customs. You know that there are multiple political groups. The whole place is an absolute hotbed of intrigue and backstabbing. So not possession, but governorship of Arrakis is a huge deal. Being offered it is a massive, massive thing. And the fact that the Emperor feels the only person he can trust with it is his childhood best friend, is quite telling. The fact that he wants to take it away from the Harkonnens only 3 years after they've taken over it is telling. You've got Fremen, you've got smugglers, you've got the citizens of Arrakis, all wanting different things in different ways at different times. So yes, you will have a passing familiarity, maybe not with the deepest parts of tradition, but yeah, certainly basic greetings, introduction protocols, all that sort of thing for the people of the desert and the city.
Lady Gretchen, as we travel to Arrakis, I can brief you and Daler and Morgan. I have something of an encyclopedic knowledge of the basic lifestyles, customs, and tributes that the people of Arrakis are known for.
Excellent. I will take a moment with the propaganda corps for Daler and have our journey publicized. Yes. And then I'll go
So
and
do you want to try and use that as an opportunity to set up a future asset?
yeah, I want to that's what I was thinking. So either with like the towels that are used to clean up the water and given, because obviously this is Millie knowing all about Dune rather than Gretchen knowing all about Dune, but something like that to use, then like they'll see the emblem, and if we've got extra absorbent towels, which means they get a better do you see what I mean?
You want to pick up sort of monogrammed stuff so that people know that you've been there.
Flag.
Yeah, and at least so they will, and that's why maybe Isaac or somebody needs to help her, because I want it to reflect in a positive way, not in a, oh, look at them, they're so rich kind of way. Unless that, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just trying to make it an opportunity for.
Well, yeah, I mean, the people of the
and stuff.
desert would value you. Everybody values Dargosh lenses. Dargosh lenses are the best in the galaxy. If you did want to offer them to the people of the desert, things like telescopes and binoculars would be very welcomed, because they're hard wearing, they're very durable, and yours are very, very good. So things like that as tokens of house esteem would be useful. If you want to offer gifts and stuff like that to the nobles at this party, then you're looking more into trade deals and things like that. So less about the here is an item and more about the here is the promise of future items.
Okay.
While you're with the propaganda corps, you are issued with 4 necklaces with lenses on, one in gold for Dela, as he's representing the house. That would normally go to the house heir. Heirs of the house wear gold. Nobles wear silver, and you guys have a copper one as representatives of the house. So this would be the sort of house rep thing.
Yeah.
Silver is awarded for distinguished service or to minor relatives. So normally Dela would be expected to wear silver, but because he's acting as envoy for the house, he'll be wearing a gold one for a change.
Oh,
And
Ben,
it's sort of like a little emblem that the house uses.
So, quick rule question. Since I exceeded the difficulty number, do the extra successes turn into momentum?
That's why I was asking it,
You didn't spend them.
because we could obtain more information specifically,
Right.
or potentially create
You can,
with those.
Yeah,
Right.
you can
So
use them
that's-
straight away to ask more questions. or
Yeah, do you want to
can
use them
bank
to ask any more questions, or do you want to...
No, I liked what Gretchen was doing, using would be doing to set up either an asset once we get there, or a way to use the house's background and skills to
So you got
set up an asset.
4 successes, didn't you? Or was it
Yes.
5 successes?
Four.
4 successes.
4.
So your one success was you know about the different groups that are out there. Your second success is the different traditions that apply to each different person. Your third success would be for Gretchen to know the right sorts of gifts to take to create assets while you're there. And the fourth success, if you don't want to use it on anything now, can be converted into momentum. Yes.
Now, let's drop that back into momentum, because I spent 1 momentum anyway, so now we're still at we didn't lose any.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Oh,
I
and Dan
have
just gave me a point of threat.
Yeah.
I can't get to use that.
And I have a chat with Ariana.
I'm going to go
Nephew?
see the quartermaster.
Hello, Auntie. How are my brothers doing?
Fine.
Sounds about right.
The usual. Trapped in business, obsessed with finances for your big brother, and then the middle brother. Well, he fancies himself as an artist, doesn't he? And he's been
Painting
making
as well.
optical sculptures
Okay.
using family lenses to reflect and refract light to create scintillating patterns and fascinating imagery.
Oh, I'm glad they're putting their time to good use. Talking about putting time to good use, I'm sure grandmother had something in mind when she decided to dispatch us. Who should we be talking to?
Anyone and everyone, to be honest. We don't know who's going to be there. Eyes peeled. Opportunity is rife on Arrakis. A water cellar might be the avenue that you need to make contact with the Fremen locals, which in turn could support our smuggler allies in increasing the house's share of spice. Making a
Okay.
deal with the Harkonnens, if necessary, could assist us in future in moving lenses through technology. Making a deal with Fenring will give us leverage with the Emperor. But these are tricky prospects, nephew. You may find them a challenge. Perhaps target some of the minor houses, the lesser known players.
Is there anything we need on the short term? Or anything
In the short
we're looking
term, we need
for
to
on the long
reactivate
term?
our smuggler assets and start getting spice off world again. Our reserves are running very thin, and it's not a good idea to run out. just in case. When prices go up, as they inevitably will, Shaddam has taken direct control,
Yes.
which is almost unheard of in the history of Empire. This is the greatest duel.
It does seem like a troubling time. One last thing. Is there any old friends you would like me to convey any messages to? While I'm there, of course.
I shouldn't think that you'll meet any of my old friends there. We're spread liberally throughout the galaxy. All the girls I went to school with. Maybe don't trust anybody who does claim to know me.
That's always good advice as well. It's always good to know who not to trust as much as who to trust. So, I take it we're traveling. Would Dela know who the smuggler contacts are?
Not personally, no, because they haven't been tapped in like 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's a clan that you need to talk to rather than an individual. I mean, there will be some named individuals there for you to contact. And she gives you a data packet, which has got dossiers, and just don't let this information fall into any hands other than your own. If you can, commit it to memory, get your mentat to memorize it, and then destroy it.
Yeah.
This is not information the house needs to lose.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Auntie. I think if you want this tablet, it will be waiting in my room tomorrow before we leave.
Excellent. Millie, what is it that Gretchen wants to do in the short term?
Mostly she's just going to arrange with the propaganda corps, make sure, like, when the official envoy gets there, everybody is aware and prepared, and whatever rider or as such for Dela for House Dargush is required is there for them. The sort of I'm just a envoy. I'm just the staff. But
just here to facilitate.
Yeah, just, that's what the Bene Gesserit does in the background, kind of thing. So she'll get that rolling with the propaganda corps and, the highliner and so on and so forth. And that's it really. Isaac will be able to tell her all the things and on the way, and then we can start shenanigans.
Okay, and Morgan, the quartermaster.
Yes, I first need to go to the quartermaster, and then I need to roust out my team and get them ready. I'll just go see the quartermaster. I'm presuming we're old friends, and I'll bang on his grate.
Gruff.
Afternoon.
Going on mission then? Off-world?
Yes. I'm going to the desert planet, Arrakis.
Right. Some specialised kit you might need then. I don't know if we want to take the ones we've got. They're a bit dated. We've got some of their special desert suits. You might want to buy some when you're there. These ones, like I say, they're a bit old. We haven't been there in 50 years. I don't know how good they're going to be.
Well, you know me. I like a contingency.
Okay,
Put them in the bag.
Yeah, we've only got a dozen of those. You might need some more for your men.
Well, they'll survive. That's the job.
What are you taking? 20?
For the team,
or is
on
that
guard.
overkill?
That is probably overkill, but you know how much I like overkill. There's no such thing. I was thinking 12.
12's probably good. Yeah, okay, so I'll give you a dozen suits. That's all we've got. They can serve for the men, at least in the short term. Maybe pick up some for yourself on world. Anything else you need?
We're going for a diplomatic party, so we need a poison snooper, emergency transmitter, palm locks, power compass when we invariably get lost.
How are you going to get lost in a party and need a compass? How lost are you going to get?
You've met Dela, right?
Right, so it's a power compass for when you get lost.
Mm-hmm. emergency transmitter. Some sort of tracking device, maybe.
For Dayla?
Yeah.
Would the house not secrete that in the golden lens?
Probably.
More than likely,
but I
yeah. Are you taking any shields?
Yes, personal shields for everybody.
Full or
Could
half?
you do half and half? Half personals, half shields. Short blades.
Yeah, that's gonna hit the supply a little bit, but yeah, I can equip your men with half shields and full shields for Dayla's crew, if you like.
Okay. We'll bring it back.
I know.
Mostly.
I know.
Yeah, try not
It's
to break
assuming
anything.
you come back.
Thanks. The more shields we have, the more likely it is we come back.
I'm not super happy about issuing las guns with shields.
Then don't.
So if you're taking shields, las guns are off the table.
Fine. Dark guns.
Dart guns are a thing. Yeah.
Just a handful. If it gets messy, it's going to be short
Rifle or
range,
pistol?
or we're going to be hit by artillery. So
Rifles or pistols?
rifles or pistols. Rifles, pistols. Rifles for the honor guard. Pistols for everyone else.
Okay. So that's
Shall
dueling
we?
blades for 16. Unless you have your own. I'll
I'm
give you
good.
dueling blades for 16. It's better to have a spare.
Yep.
All right, I'll have that all packaged up and sent up to the Highliner or put on the shuttle for tomorrow.
Anything you want from Arrakis?
Handful of spies.
Anything you want from Arrakis?
Yeah, if you can get your hands on one of those Fremen knives, I've always wanted one of those.
I will see what I can do.
Yeah, a handful of spice would cost hundreds of thousands of Solaris.
A pinch of spice would have still probably been out of his price range.
Yes. I'll go roust out the team.
So
If I have
while
time,
this is
I'd like to get a duel in with our heir, just to see how good he is.
Be time on
Dayla
the
would like to
Highliner,
do a
surely.
couple of other things as well.
as this is going on, Isaac is making his way through the house, listening to what the servants are saying, what the retainers are saying, what the guards are saying, trying to determine if there's anyone who's paying just a little too much attention to the fact that Daler and the rest of us are preparing to leave. Ferret out those spies.
Okie dokie then. Let's have, what sort of a role are you trying to go for?
I would think either duty or truth, and probably discipline. That kind of falls into espionage and infiltration.
Yeah.
And I've got a focus in espionage under
Okay.
discipline. So discipline and duty?
Yep.
Discipline
Okay.
and okay.
You're doing your duty for the house
Yep.
in a disciplined fashion, going through everything rigorously.
So that's 2 dice at a 13, unless anybody wants me to spend any of our momentum.
Now, on the flip side of that, I am going to spend some of our threat. But I'm going to use threat to let myself make a roll. So you go ahead and make your roll.
What do you got? Do you guys want me to roll and use any momentum?
Is it just difficulty 1?
I have a feeling it's not. I have a feeling it's an
not
opposed
difficulty
roll.
1, no. This is going to be a
Rolling against-
challenging difficulty 2.
Well, if it's difficulty 2, you might as well take the momentum and roll the dice,
Yeah,
because the odds are
go
in
for it.
favour of you generating the momentum to replace the momentum, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yep.
So I'll use 2 momentum.
Okay.
4 dice. Target number is 13. I got a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 16. So I got 6 successes because my focus makes it my focus means our crit range is 1 to 6.
Wow. That's nice.
You guys see that? Oh no, you can't.
No, that thing we were talking about earlier is no.
With that, you are able to overcome the dice that I rolled for the person who you're trying to outwit. And as you're going around and you're checking out on things, you notice that one of the loaders who's putting together the stuff ready to go up to the shuttle is paying really close attention to what's going on in the packages and seems to be checking everything off. I mean, it could be completely innocent, but they've got a flipboard and they're checking things off and making little notes while going through every single box that's been prepped by the quartermaster, by the propaganda corps. They're paying a lot of very close attention to what's going on.
So I look around and see if there's any guards in the area.
And you identify that this one person has made 3 separate stops, like they've gone around and subbed out a robe or a cloak and then come back and done another check. And all of their stuff is logoed, but you recognize that the logo has been monogrammed on afterwards, whereas in Dargosh, the monogram is put into the clothing when it's fabricated.
So I definitely look for a guard in the area, a house guard that I know.
There are plenty around.
I grab 2 and I go, gentlemen, would you accompany me? I need to have a discussion with that loader, and I have a feeling that he will not be agreeable. I would have your blades at the ready in case.
And they both draw knives. And so, one moment, sir. He pulls out his little communicator. Sergeant Gruff,
Yes.
are you near the loading bay?
Yes, I'm on my afternoon run.
Could you run this way? We may have a situation.
Oh, good.
As we're waiting for Sergeant Gruff to show up, I slip my bodkin out of its wrist sheath and have it ready. Not that I anticipate that Isaac will have to use it, but...
You identify that this person that you're looking at favors their left leg slightly, as though from an old injury.
Very interesting.
New injury.
Sergeant Gruff, that gentleman over there, that loader, you see him? The one favoring his left leg? He is not of the house, and he is taking particular interest in our charges goings on and what we are taking. I do believe it would be in our best interest to detain him with as much force as is required.
Oh, happily.
I thought
Are you
that
going to
might
sneak
you might
up on
do
him,
that.
or are you just going to march towards him?
I'm going to get the guards to cover the exits, and then I'm going to march at him.
And as Sergeant Gruff is marching towards him, I will slip around stealthily so I can be on the other side of him.
As well.
Okay,
I'm
so
focused
as
in
you
Swift.
start marching towards him, he notices you.
I've got a bloody great big hammer in my hand. Of course he does.
You go on runs with your big mace.
Yes.
It's conditioning training.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
With
is
my
it
leather
over
shorts,
his head while running?
my golden t-shirt, my bloody great big mace.
As he
Yeah,
sees you
Just
coming
like one
towards
of
him,
those exercise mates.
he looks at the look on your face and realizes that he's probably been made, and flings his arm out in a semicircle and then runs. And you see hundreds of little tiny metal shards spill out of his sleeve and cover the ground between you and him.
Well,
As he runs, does he run right into me as I'm behind him?
Well, let's look at initiative. Now, how do I do initiative?
I believe it's just whoever you decide.
Oh,
who
it's I
goes
decide, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's how initiative goes.
Best
Okay,
kind.
so his initiative action then is to throw those and run.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I am going to go to
Are you going to keep the initiative?
He's not going to keep the initiative. No, I'm going to hand the initiative over to you, Alden, because
Excellent.
this is kind of a battle-y move situation, and I believe you're good at both of those, aren't you?
Is Isaac right behind him?
Isaac is sneaking round him and is likely to encounter him if you can distract him a little bit.
In that case, I will. Okay, so how does this work in terms of action economy?
Well,
Because I'd like to shout at him.
you want to shout at him, and you can then spend a point of momentum to keep the initiative, and then transfer it directly over to Isaac. 2 points of momentum.
It's expensive in Dune.
Yeah, but they've got 9. But you've got 9 points of momentum.
No, but
And knives and maces.
Sadly, I think we're actually supposed to cap it at 6 by the rules, but
Well, we should spend them then. I think
we
is what you're
laugh
saying.
in the face of
But-
rules.
but we can have floating momentum if we use them in the same round. So
yeah. Quick,
Feel
use
free
them.
to spend free momentum then.
Yeah, I'm basically going to do that. So I'm going to cry out going, "Benefactor of the house, stop! Or it will be the worse for you."
Ooh, that sounds threatening. Make a justice and communicate roll, unless you can think of something better.
No,
Sorry,
I'm
it's supposed to
happy
be
with.
you that decides the stats you're rolling on, not me.
Since we are all new to the rules, because the rules are new, I'm happy to be guided. I have no quibble with that.
That means that's his best
I'm
dice.
kind of almost tempted by duty rather than justice,
You can go for duty if you prefer.
because it's the heavy weight of duty that I'm trying to lay on him, and I will certainly take communicate with a focus in intimidation.
Yeah, splendid.
So how many D are we talking there?
Right, so if you're spending a point of momentum, that adds a dice. Your
Okay.
focus reduces the difficulty by 1.
Okay, good. So 3.
Yep.
So you got 3.
Ooh.
Do you have any talents that are appropriate?
No,
Okay.
not for this specifically. So I've got a 1 and an 8 and a 10.
What was the difficulty?
Don't know. Oh, it's underneath my thingy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Target number would be
13.
4
plus
successes.
4 successes. Yes. He freezes in mid-run and starts to turn around slowly, bringing his hands up as he does so. There is still a field of caltrops between you and him, but you used sergeant voice on him and it kind of froze him in his tracks. And he begins to turn towards you. Are you spending
Okay.
another 2 points of momentum to keep the initiative?
Well, I think you should, because you generated
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
there.
oh yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Okay.
And
yeah,
we
in that case,
can't
to
bank
burn it.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't bank it, so you might as well.
Yes, I will spend 2 points of momentum to keep the initiative, and I'm going to use my talent called Direct, which is where I can command an ally to act. And I'm going to call out to Isaac and go, "Isaac, secure or subdue, your choice."
So
And
Isaac,
you basically get to act immediately, and you can act again if you feel like it this round.
Isaac will use his subtle step to move up and subtly subdue him, giving me an extra d20 in this, and I will. I'll bring the bodkin up, and instead of stabbing him, I'll just lay it across the corner of his chin and say, "Get down on your belly, even if it's in the caltrops, my friend, and you'll get to live to see tomorrow." So I'm thinking, I don't know, duty in battle or duty in communicate.
I think communicate's better.
Looks like
Okay,
communicate.
so that's going to be 11. First one is free. I'll spend 1 momentum for 4 dice. I got 2 successes. No criticals.
He he's still got his hands up. He gradually gets down to his knees.
Continue down to your belly, my friend.
And slides down onto his belly.
And Isaac will put one hand across the palm of his right hand and say, I have a dart gun pointed at the back of your neck. You'll wait here until the guard captain or Sergeant Gruff comes to take you off to have a discussion with some friends of mine.
One of the two guards who was guarding the door moves up and starts brushing Caltrops out of the way with his rifle so that you can advance.
So, Isaac, what have you caught?
Well, Sergeant Gruff, I believe we have caught, at the very least, a traitor, most likely a spy. But I think we should turn him over to Salia, Miss Arachne, so she can have a discussion with him.
Okay. Guards, summon an escort for this important guest.
And he is quite wily. I suggest we ensure that if attempts to move out of your control, he is kneecapped. I think we still need to speak with him, though.
So keep the tongue and the lungs.
Yes.
But nothing else is necessary.
That is a fair assessment, my friend.
Good to know.
You hear a crunching sound from the floor at your feet.
Ah.
I think a spy might have killed itself.
Perhaps an escort will not be necessary after all.
Clean up
Flip him
duty.
over.
And he starts twitching and convulsing on the floor. A white foam comes out from underneath his mouth.
I like to think Isaac and Morgan are just kind of standing over this with kind of professional interest going, so, what do you reckon? Poison,
I think,
obviously.
Definitely a poison. He's clearly is dying a failure and a coward, so it's a loss.
An ignoble death.
As soon as he stops moving, let's carefully search his body. There may be information, though I would caution there may also be poison darts about, so
we
will
should
have to
probably
do it with
move
care.
him to some sort of containment room for that. Let's
Yes,
not do it here.
Wise, very wise, my friend.
Guards, we're going to need a stretcher, not an escort.
There are stretchers hanging on the wall for any kind of accidents that might happen in this sort of room, so the guards fetch a stretcher and kind of pulling the scarves over their faces, they roll him onto the stretcher and carry him off. Millie.
Yes.
Having done your PR work, what else is there anything else you want to have a go at or anybody you need to talk to?
I might go and so Ariana Dargosh.
Yes.
Technically, she is obviously my senior.
Yes.
But in terms of Bene Gesserit, is she my junior? Like, she's not fully. She's a. Like, what?
She is a full sister as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was just gonna. I was like,
yeah, sorry.
If she'd just done a bit of training, she just went to like finishing school.
No, she's full Bene Gesserit,
Okay.
which is why she's not in line to inherit anything.
Okay.
Otherwise, Grandma would be quite happy saying, I've got a 150-year, someone who's got a 200-year lifespan. I'm totally handing this over to her.
Mm-hmm.
But she can't be trusted to entirely. I mean, she acts in the house's best interest, but there's always that question of who.
The same question people would have about myself.
Yeah, but you're not in line to inherit, so you're trusted in some ways more and in other ways less.
Am I out of, like... Yeah, I'd probably go and see them and have one of those conversations where my fingers are having a different conversation and my eyebrows are having a different conversation than the words that are coming out my mouth.
Okay, so a nice little bit of innuendo. We like it.
Yeah.
So what's the conversation that you're having on the surface?
Mostly has she been keeping with her practices? I know the weight of being a noble lies heavy on the sisters that also must remain a Bene Gesserit. Has she been keeping with her practices? Can she still move a little toe? Has she, that kind of thing.
What are you saying underneath that?
I want to know if she has any contacts on Arrakis, or if we between us know, like if she knows somebody and then I know somebody, do we have any Bene Gesserit? Because I know Fenrig's wife is BG. I don't know whether we know that kind of thing. And if there are any, because again, she, like, yeah, that kind of stuff. I'm trying massively not to metagame.
It's absolutely fine. The Bene Gesserit are all about the metagame.
Yeah. And that kind of stuff. So I just want to know, or...
So her surface response is, of course, I take time every day to make sure that I keep fit and do my practice. That her undertone there is, of course, there are going to be lots of sisters. All of the sisters do their best to stay abreast of their training, and the subtext is there are going to be a fair few sisters there at this party because there are going to be representatives from a lot of houses. Some of them are more or less invested in their houses than others. While you may be able to count on them as allies, as sisters, you may not be able to count on them as allies to the house.
Yeah.
Things they do for you, they might not do for others.
And also, because I have the talent Mask of Power, which is I can basically lie to somebody and get them to think I've got blackmail or they owe me a favor. I need, like, so I guess I'm kind of trying to find, like, the very base seeds of what I can use with as many people as possible. Because I can't just be like, I know about you. And there has to be like I know about the thing, and wouldn't so-and-so be upset if they found it? I don't know what the thing is, but I know they have a connection. So that's what she's trying to farm for.
Well, she'll feed you a couple of little bits of court gossip that she is aware of. But nothing vast. I mean, she's kind of out of the way and working from here a lot of the time. But she can certainly give you a bit of dirt on Rachis, on Von Meer, on a couple of the other lesser houses out here. She can also give you latest court scuttlebutt on Fenring, on the Harkonnens. Although she does tell you to be very careful of Fenring's wife because she's good. And she does remind you that Arrakis has been seeded with aspects of the stories.
Yes. I will remember to brush up on them on the way, but probably forget them because that's not really my bag.
Jolly good.
Can Dela do a couple things before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Set off? Dela would like to go to grandmother's flower garden. While he's there,
A bit louder.
Recall...
Sorry,
Isaac.
baby asleep behind you.
No, sorry.
Oh, that's right. A little bit louder then, if you can.
I'll just get a bit closer. He is asleep, but he'll probably sleep through it. I would like to go to grandmother's flower garden and ask Isaac to come and attend me for a second.
Okay, Isaac, this call comes through when you're about to accompany the body. Oh no, torn loyalty.
Yes.
Hello, Isaac, was it? Isaac Roke?
Yes, sir.
I have a few things we should discuss briefly before we leave. Would you mind popping out to the gardens with me?
I am at your disposal, sir. I shall be there presently.
Yeah, leave it.
So Isaac will head towards the gardens.
Um,
Me with the stiff.
yeah.
Fine.
Sorry, Morgan. The Master Dela has called me to conference.
I'll see what I can find out.
Dela is gonna take a few of, well, a nice bouquet of grandmother's flowers to take with him to Arrakis,
Knowing
which
full
I
well
will
that
use lately.
many of the
Later.
other brothers might get stabbed if they tried the same
Yes,
thing.
pretty much. Well, I have to leave a note that I was there because I'm not going to talk to them. And they'll probably see that, so yeah. That's
I mean, I can
enough.
arrange for your propaganda corps to put a picture of this in the house newsletter if you want.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'll let Gretchen turn up as well.
Not now.
Um,
You can just take the picture
yeah,
yourself.
no.
I'll use it later. It's fine.
I have a
Okay, so
plan.
Dela,
for
what
them
did you
as
want to talk to Isaac about?
well. Isaac, I received this little tidbit of information. Would you mind perusing it for me, learning it, and then you can teach me it on the way? Unfortunately, it has to stay in-house, so we'll be leaving it behind.
My lord, after I have memorized this, do you want me to leave it behind intact, destroyed, or changed?
I do like the idea of changed. If you can come up with a nice little riddle, that'll be something fun for my auntie to play with whilst we're gone.
The truth shall be ours to control, as you wish. And Isaac will set to memorizing.
And obviously, as a mentat, you're kind of flash memorizing each individual page as you just skim through it. You're not even reading it. You're memorizing the pages to speak back later. And then starting to fiddle with it. Meanwhile, Morgan, you have the guards carry the body where?
I presume we have. I'd like to think we have some sort of quarantine room or clean room. We make lenses, so fuck, we must have something.
Oh yeah, you've also got a Sook doctor on staff that you could potentially call on.
Well, I'm just going to lean on a wall panel and go, Doc!
Yes, what is it?
I need an autopsy. Stat. That's what you medical folks say, isn't it?
As you wish, bring them to the medical bay.
Okay. They're dead, by the way.
Traditionally
Well,
the way with autopsies. My Sook
not
conditioning
always.
prohibits me from taking a life.
That's fine, mine doesn't. Delivery incoming.
So you make your way to the medical suite.
I ping Gretchen somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, I mean, communicators are still a thing.
Yes.
Bing bong.
Hello.
You busy?
No.
Got a dead person.
Are they
You wanna
supposed to be?
poke
Sure.
Excellent. We'll be in the medical bay.
I will be there shortly.
Bong.
So shortly thereafter in the medical bay, Gretchen and Morgan arrive and the soldiers return to their duties. Is there anything you want to tell them to do?
Tidy up the caltrops, put them in a bag, don't touch them. Bring them here.
As you wish, sir.
Don't talk about this to anybody.
Talk about what, sir?
Very good, you're learning.
Gives
I
you a
kind of pop
slightly
him
cheeky...
playfully on the head with the mace.
Gives you a slightly cheeky, you're not a commissioned officer kind of salute.
Give it time.
Hey, by then he might be your sergeant. So yes, Millie, lying on the slab in the medical bay. Well, not in the medical bay because obviously that's where people get treated, but in a little quarantine room off the medical bay. It's not unusual for a great house to have these little separate quarantine rooms in case of assassinations so that their physicians can do autopsies.
Mm-hmm.
Lying on the autopsy table in the medical bay is a young man, very nondescript of feature, short, slightly messy brown hair, brown eyes, moderately tanned, although it looks like his tan has been done whilst he's been wearing shorts and an undershirt, because as the clothes come off him for separate chemical analysis, you can see that he doesn't have the kind of tan that people from the Forest Moon would tend to develop. They tend to develop outdoor working tans or sunning yourself on the beach tans, and this is neither of those things.
This is a Saint-Tropez tan.
No, this is a I'm supposed to have a tan to go to this place tan. So what do you want to do in terms of your autopsy? The doctor's going to do her bit.
Want to know what killed them? Any distinction characteristics? Anything under the fingernails? Any subdermal explosives?
Can I like take a moment and observe him in the Bene Gesserit way, if that makes sense?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, obviously, you're not going to find many muscle twitches and tics that will give things away.
No,
This is dead.
but we can.
But yes, absolutely.
Like the sort of, it's not Mentat style, but it's that.
It's a different style, which is good.
Observation.
Well, I invited you.
Thank you.
You also talk less than Isaac.
Thank you.
That's a compliment.
Understood. So if I'm going to make a test here, I have the a focus in observe.
You pick a duty, you pick a skill, and if you've got an appropriate focus,
all right,
you can apply it.
So I think it would be a truth and discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline. I don't know why. Yeah, I do. I think when character creation, we put observe in that one. And my truth is, if I do not know it, it's irrelevant. So, we'll see what I do not know.
Okay.
And so that would give me that would be a target number 14.
Right.
Is this a difficulty one, or is this one of those ones where I have to spend momentum to ask the questions? Is that the?
You don't have to spend momentum. No. You will get more or less information depending on number of successes.
Right.
So
okay.
it's difficulty 1 to get a basic bit of information. The more information you want, the more difficulty it will have.
So I will look at Morgan and say, how long do we have? Which is my code for should I spend momentum or not?
All the time you need.
Yeah. All right. So, one would get me one more dice. So that'd give me 3. That'd be enough, wouldn't it? Yeah. All right.
3 dice, difficulty 14 should be doable.
All right.
And you've got a focus, so it's crits under target number.
Yeah. I got a 1, an 18, and a 2. So that's
4 successes.
4 successes.
Yeah. No, the 18 is not. Oh, the 2.
The 18 is not a success, but the 2 is a crit.
Yeah, 4, yeah.
Because you've got a focus.
All right. So, as we can't bank all of them, I would like as much information as 3 extra successes would.
Yeah, I mean, 3
provide.
extra successes is going to give you a lot.
All the information from tiny details all over.
So the
this.
first and most obvious thing that you get is that he is not from around here. He's not from Darga. This is not a member of your house. This is not even a peon of your house. This is someone from off-world. Despite his nondescript appearance, it has been carefully cultivated to be a nondescript appearance. So in many ways, he is designed to be nondescript. not Tleilaxu, nondescript, but somebody else with an interest in biotechnology has gone to a great deal of time and trouble to make this person look as bland as possible. His tan lines show that he is excessively modest, suggesting that he is a highly religious person with very strong beliefs about purity of the body and behavior. And you are also able to find where a tattoo has been removed with consummate skill, absolutely astonishing skill. He clearly belonged to a cult of Kubibi, who is a fertility deity much beloved by the enemies of House Dargush, House Von Meer.
My enemy bingo card is complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll take a time. There's probably a bit where she goes like and I don't know, licks his finger or something weird. and that,
Don't put it in your ear again. That was
No.
disconcerting.
and that sort of stuff. And then I do believe, Sergeant Morgan, Sergeant Gruff, you have found an agent of Von Meer.
Well, Isaac found him. I called him to book. And he died.
The doctor, meanwhile, goes about doing all of her tests. She says, it'll be a couple of hours. If there's anything else you have to do, you're welcome to stay. At that point, she's cutting the Y into his chest.
I was going to just want to stay until we're sure that he's dead and there are no explosives hidden in any cavities.
Is that a risk?
You tell me.
Right.
I
So
mean,
she
yes.
puts the scalpel away. She's
Gonna put
started
fucking-
cutting a Y into him and brings over a sort of modified poison snooper and starts scanning over him for that. She's like, that's interesting, actually, that you mentioned that, because yes, there is. Ooh, that's nasty.
I do.
There's a subdermal biotoxin located just above the center of his rib cage. If I'd proceeded in that cut, I would have released a toxin into this room that could potentially have killed us all.
I will look at them and be like, not all of us, and leave. That's it, I'm done. I'll survive. I can metabolize it. I probably can't, but I'm cocky enough to think I can.
You're going to tell us you can anyway.
Yes, exactly.
That's an interesting tool, because that would be utterly useless to him as an assassin. That's a way to cause problems in an autopsy. That's specifically designed to cause autopsy problems. How intriguing. I will do a very thorough scan before I proceed any further. But yes, he is definitely dead.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to leave 2 of my guards outside.
The poison he's taken is a powerful neurotoxin. It's scrambled his brain before killing him. Even if he weren't dead, he would have the mental capacity of a root vegetable.
Okay. You're the doc.
I
Send me
will
the report.
perform an autopsy and get back to you with the results. I'll also run a check on the clothes.
Be careful.
What was he doing?
Spying.
Perhaps check where he was spying in case there was more to it than that.
Good thought. I might go see if I can catch up with Gretchen now.
She's not gone far. She's left the room, but she's done that
Gretchen!
Bene Gesserit swish thing.
Yeah, I just swished out.
They're like,
It's just
bamf, they're gone, but 2 steps outside and they're like, right, they're going.
Where did I leave my coffee? Like that. Oh, it's in the room. Can't go back now. Oh.
Got your coffee! Gretchen!
I will
Got your
stop.
coffee.
I will stop and wait for Morgan to catch up. You're not dead then. That is good to see.
Not yet.
Excellent.
Take more than the chest bomb to take me out.
I have no doubt of that.
Doc made the very sensible suggestion that we should check out where erstwhile dead bloke was messing about.
Yes, where did you find them?
We found him in the loading bay, loading up our stuff.
Ah. Well, we should take a moment to investigate everything.
Given their seeming predilection for bioengineered nastinesses, I really cannot be doing with the whole bioengineering thing. I mean, if you can honestly thump someone, then just honestly thump someone.
Well,
Yes, Chalmers and Chormurky are generally considered a little bit naughty, but completely permitted by the rules of Canley.
which is what I'll say. I'll say that. I'll claim that.
It's directly there in the Assassin's Handbook.
It's
Or
dishonest.
assassins.
For open warfare, where the rules are simple.
Stand in a line and run at them.
Well, preferably artillery, but yeah, that would do too.
Artillery first. Yeah, well, shall we go and investigate this luggage?
Yes.
Would not do
Let's.
well to have Dela killed on our first mission.
Can I snag a poison snooper from somewhere?
Yep, absolutely.
Buckets of them everywhere in Dune.
I've got one.
You don't have fire alarm handles on walls. You just got poison snoopers. Get that off.
Yeah.
Again? Oh, bloody hell.
Are you going to call anybody else in?
I won't. But it's whether Morgan would like to.
No.
Because if that this could be quite a scoop for somebody in House Dargush, and this could be one of those moves of why didn't Morgan's boss find it? It's because Morgan's boss is incompetent. Morgan should be the boss. Because that's what we were saying when we built the house, wasn't it? It's one of those like I've learned something about this that. So I wouldn't, because I would assume Morgan is going to use it for his own advancement, which
Keep us on the down low.
in turn advance my position, which I am happy with.
That's the spirit of Dune.
For the house, yes.
Yes.
So, Isaac and Dela. Memorizing facts.
Yeah. I also have a question for Isaac whilst I'm staring off at the upper stratas of the house. Wouldn't happen to know what frequency shatters lenses, would you?
Well,
Especially the refracting kind.
That's a very interesting question, Dela. It would, in a large part, be based on the thickness of the lens, the constituent manufacture of the lens, and of course the specific lens coating. But if you have a specific lens in mind, I'm sure that I could determine what frequency, either visible, invisible, or perhaps even of vibratory frequency may be able to shatter it.
I'll give him a smile and say, "You haven't seen any of my middle brother's artwork lately, have you?"
Your family's predilection for art is interesting. They are very, very bad at it, though, I must say. But yes, I have seen it.
I'm glad you feel like you can be honest with me.
I serve the house, and the house's failure to produce good art is a stain on the house. It should be dealt with.
Well, I was thinking something along that line myself. I mean, we wouldn't want to leave something behind that was a stain on the house. After all, my stay here is rather short, so I can't fix everything in one go.
Well, my lord, I must say that I am here to serve the House Dargush, even if it means protecting it from itself. So if you are asking about your brothers, art, then I believe I might be able to help you with a particular frequency or wavelength that could eliminate the stain. So would that be a duty and understand, or
I'll be
truth
honest
and
with
understand?
You're a mentat working for a lens-producing house. I don't
You
think
should
you
just know
need
it.
to
No.
roll because you probably have a list of resonant frequencies memorized for different lenses. 13B. You'll want 40,000 hertz for that.
Yes. I would actually recommend, instead of using sound, because the sound is going to the decibel range would be quite obvious. If you ensure that there are no shields in place in the vicinity, and you use a far ultraviolet laser at about a tenth of a micron diameter, you will be able to shatter the lens due to expansion of the thermal properties of the interior of the lens, and no one will understand how it has happened.
Isaac, I'm glad Grandmother introduced us. I think we're going to get along just fine.
I am forever in your service, my lord.
But you're going off to prank your brother with the mentat while your guard and your Bene Gesserit resolve the assassin trying to murder you.
It's one of
Seems
those
perfectly
things,
fitting.
it's not outright dangerous, but it points out that I know some things that they don't know. And
true.
They don't know how I know them.
Okay, so you head off to do that then. You are able to requisition an ultraviolet laser
As you do.
Yeah.
on the down low from a lens maker in town who owes you or who might owe you in future. And you set about pranking your brother by destroying his sculpture.
Oh, so harsh.
I'm gonna wait until he's actually looking at some as well. But from far enough away that, as he looks at one of them, another one explodes from the side as he turns.
So one of the ones that he's proudly displayed in the garden to collect the noonday sun and project an image of the house, not the house emblem, you wouldn't destroy that.
No,
Project an
not
image
that
of your father onto the wall of the house. You set it up so that one of the lenses is destroyed, and your father's face appears to suffer from a slight stroke as half of it slides down, leaving the other half where it is, and actually sending a message that your middle brother doesn't really know what your dad actually looks like.
It's a sad story right there.
There you go.
My lord, that was a very well-placed shot. It is clear your skills as a swordsman translate well to other weapons.
Well, it's about precision in all things.
I couldn't
Meanwhile,
agree more.
In the loading bay. So I think I am going to ask you to make a roll to check the luggage. And it's going to be an understand roll, I believe. Although, I would let you sub in battle because it's an attack, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So understand. Well, no, you pick what you're rolling, not me. I've got to stop doing that. You pick what you're rolling.
Who's going to roll?
I'm letting
you both
Gretchen.
can, but you can also do different things.
Yeah. I'm going to take it from a sort of tactical, what would be the best thing if I was looking to probably damage the supplies more than... So I'm looking for sabotage, so I class that as, would that be battle and, I don't know, justice?
It depends on whether you're looking based on how you would do it or if you're looking based on how you would stop it.
Well, I'm looking based on how I would do it because that's what I'm looking for.
That'd be more power than justice then.
Fair enough.
In my opinion.
Oh no, I will happily take the highest of all of my drives.
Is that your highest one?
Yes. It's all about power.
So be it.
Lord.
Millie, what would you be looking for?
I think she would like. I get the feeling that, like the way I understand it is like Mentats like stand back and look and take in the whole picture, whereas a Bene Gesserit would go in and she would run her hands across the side of the thing and down the sides and touch all the stuff and that kind of stuff. So
With total body control, so if there were like a spring-loaded needle, you'd find the needle and not impale yourself on
yeah,
it.
that kind of
thing.
stuff. So I think it would be again some sort of discipline, and then it's either I think truth again, like with the dead body, maybe,
Yeah.
or I'm not sure. Maybe
Faith might work as well, actually,
faith. Like
in that you believe that you would find whatever you were looking for.
okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I'll go with faith then. Faith.
You might as well make use of some of that momentum.
Yeah. Do you want to roll first?
Oh, go on then. I'll burn some momentum. We've got tons of it.
Yeah. What do you want? 1, 3?
One.
Just
One will
one?
do. Which gives me an extra die. Is
Just
that
gives
how
you
that
one
works?
more
Or
dice,
gives me
yes.
One more die. Ooh, I got a 1, which is nice.
2 successes.
I got an 11 and a 14. And I was looking for under 16s.
Okay. Do you have a focus?
I'm going to say no. I mean, I
Okay,
have
well,
a
4
focus in
successes
dirty
is still a
fighting,
lot.
which kind of feels like thingy. But
Not appropriate in context for what you're doing, I don't think.
No.
But
No,
4
that's
successes
more of a-
is still a
Yeah.
lot.
I'll take that.
And it doesn't take very long before you are able to identify that a shield unit has been rigged to overload on a time delay.
That
one
is
of the
kind of thing I
boxes.
would do.
Now, a shield unit rigged to overload would not only explode in the shuttle that you're on, but it would potentially do enough damage to damage the highliner as well, which would seriously jeopardize your house's standing with the Spacing Guild and potentially see the grounding of House Dargush.
This is a significant level of sabotage.
Yes. Being able to pin that on someone else and letting the Spacing Guild know about it, if you could follow that up and give them sufficient evidence to point a finger at a different house.
So we have an agent of Von Meer who has clearly sabotaged this equipment that will be put on the shuttle, which we put on the highliner and is timed to explode whilst we're on the highliner, therefore endangering not us but the guild navigator. I'm both concerned but also rubbing my hands in glee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that gives you
Gretchen.
some serious dirt if you
How are
can
you doing?
link it to Von Meer directly.
How am I doing? I don't know. I'm gonna spend some momentum and check every inch of these things.
Burn it.
So what was I using? It's
Faith and discipline?
8, 13. All right. So that's 1 success because that's a 12. I only get 1. I have 1 success on my 3 dice because I rolled a 17 and an 18.
Oof.
Luckily, you start at the other end of the boxes to Morgan. While he's checking one set of boxes, you start at the other end and work your way back towards him, because he probably would have missed the poison needle, because he's not looking for that kind of thing. He's looking for sabotage explosives. And what you find is a poison needle embedded in the handle of one of the dart guns that's been supplied for you.
Oh. I will, if I can, hold this. It's probably like the tiniest of things, like we do that and you can't see it.
It's barely a centimetre in length once you pull out the whole thing with the poison ampule and the needle as well.
Mm-hmm.
The bit that was sticking out was just long enough to penetrate the skin.
Seems House Von Meer has friends in the quartermasters. This is either something that's missed an inspection or something that has been applied to the requisition.
You don't think our one spy could have done this?
Well, I think there are too many points between here and there for it to have happened in such a swift time.
This is where he caught the spy.
Yeah, but if he's applying a needle to a dart gun...
But the boxes are already packed and here waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't want to lead you off track completely with that.
Okay.
The boxes were there and packed, and this spy has come along and tampered with these two.
Okay. I was just thinking, like, in order for someone to put it in a place that would not be seen, it might be a little bit...
He would have to know which boxes to put it in, to be fair.
So...
We're a suspicious espionage house.
Yeah,
we're
we
going to
are.
be suspicious of everybody.
Yeah.
And the fact that the newly requisitioned equipment has been tampered with will, of course, cast some level of suspicion onto the quartermaster. But I'm more interested in drawing the link with House Von Meer.
Perhaps the poison is a favourite of theirs. Would they be so bold as to use that?
I would hope so. We would need a spy master to be able to corroborate that one.
Or a chemist.
Or a chemist. Do we have either? Bing bong!
Well, you have both. You're a house.
Yeah.
And in your house, you have a spy master, who is a mentat, Salar Arachne, and you have a Suk doctor, Verena Monk, both of whom could potentially be useful.
Well, we've already brought the doc in on this. Let's go see the doc again.
Okay.
Did the guard deliver the caltrops, or are they still here?
There is a tray of caltrops,
Okay.
which
we'll
are currently
take...
sat under a machine which is bathing them in little rays of light over and over again.
What does it say? Beep, 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 beep.
Looks like there's a toxin on the caltrops as well. Just a long-lasting one. I would assume some kind of paralytic by the looks of things. So if you'd gone blundering across them, if one had penetrated your flesh, you probably would have been rendered helpless against whatever could have happened.
Does
It
look
wouldn't
like
have
the
been
scan has-
long-lasting, and it would have broken down very quickly.
Okay. Does it look like the scan is finished?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to put them in a bag and take them with me.
I can't imagine that whatever is on them will last much more than an hour or so.
Well, I can get up to some hijinks in an hour.
It's very true. Do you have something else for me?
I will offer them.
Gretchen,
I will offer them the tiny needle. And ask.
stay away from the sharp end.
Yes.
It's got two sharp ends. That's very tiny.
Can you tell us what it was due to administer?
Yes. Come back in another hour, and I'll have run that. Science takes time, I'm afraid.
Understood.
Science.
Perhaps
Definitely.
check in with one of the mentats.
If this is to be
We have a spy
delivered-
master and a counsellor in the house. Perhaps one of them could provide their own insight.
Before we bring this to them, this is Sergeant Gruff's investigation, you understand?
Oh, of course, I quite understand. And an admirable job he's done of it so far.
So,
Are you sure you're not a policeman rather than a guardsman?
I am a house
This
officer.
is fine investigative work.
I am whatever the house needs me to be.
I'll be sure to make a point of it in my report.
You are both most kind. This will be remembered.
is that the thing that comes up? Sergeant Gruff will remember this. But yeah, I'll nod and then leave. With a swish. Like I did last
Right.
time in this room.
Can't leave without a swish.
No. It's not
Dayla,
allowed.
what was the other thing you wanted to do?
I'll turn to Isaac as we leave and say, how are you getting into places?
I am quite adept, my lord, at getting to places that I need to be, even when people don't want me there.
It's just this this little toy we've requisitioned. Seems like the very kind of thing my eldest brother would love to play with. I'd like to leave it behind for him before we go.
My lord, I do believe that I could take this into your eldest brother's room and leave it for him without anyone being aware.
Could you take him one last thing? You don't need to put it anywhere near the gift itself, but just leave it somewhere innocuous. And I'll hand him one of the flowers from the garden as well.
My lord, your grandmother would be very pleased to see your political acumen.
Well, I have so little time here to play with my brothers. I have to make the best of it.
All right. So Isaac will take the far ultraviolet laser system and the flower, and stealthily make his way through the house to attempt to plant them in the elder Dargosh's room.
Okay. So you creep through the house. It's the middle of the afternoon. It's fairly quiet. There are servants around going about their business, putting things here and there, but you're an officer of the house, so they get out of your way. They don't ask questions. They don't even see you if you don't want them to.
I like it.
Shortly after he
Can I-
leaves, and you're sort of stood outside in the gardens and terraces, Dayla, kind of contemplating your handiwork and feeling quite proud of yourself. There's a roar from behind you, and somebody bursts out of the vines and plants growing on nearby trellises and comes charging towards you, sword in hand. And the blade flashes down towards you. What are you going to do?
I am going to step out of the way first and foremost. Not pull my sword out yet, but just step out of the way. But sort of with a backhand pushing their arm out of the way as well as they go, so that hopefully they will continue in their momentum. And fall on
They
their
do continue in
backsides.
their momentum, but they spin on a dime and stop in a swordsmaster's salute. And you recognize your Uncle Hakeem, the current swordmaster of the house. He's old and a little bit mad. He has the most astonishing moustache. It's this huge white affair that appears beneath his nose, stretches out beyond the sides of his face, and then droops down after that into these huge, long mustachios.
At that point,
And he cackles at you with a ha-ha!
I'm gonna draw my first knife, offer him a salute, and say, "Do you want a quick shave, Hakeem?"
He activates a half shield and stands in a guard with the shield towards you and his sword at the ready.
I'm gonna put one of my hands behind my back, sort of lower my stance, sort of like a fencing stance. My other hand is my second knife, which is behind my back.
With his shielded hand, he curls it towards you and goes,
We'll slowly start circling each other, no doubt, as I try and maneuver in.
he's wearing an outfit very similar to yours. Uncle Hakeem is one of the reasons that you went off to join the Ginaz Sword Masters, because he's hilarious. He was the fun uncle, the funkle. And he always had a ready story, some of which were topically inappropriate for your age group when you were younger, about duels he'd fought and partners he'd bedded and fantastic adventures that he'd had, many of which were entirely fictional. But he always had a good story, and he was very adept with a blade. And he actually started your training before you went off. And he could always beat you. Hands down, it took next to no effort. And announcing himself by charging at you like that was a thing he used to do when you were 6.
I'm pretty sure Dale's enjoying it, though.
Oh, absolutely. So's he.
Does like the message go around the house like Dale is fighting Hakeem? Like, everybody drops the bowls and runs to the
Everybody
garden.
drops their bowls and runs to the windows and the balconies to see what's going on. And so the two sword masters face off against one another on the terrace outside. Yeah, Uncle Hakeem is kind of great. Uncle Hakeem. He's his grandmother's little brother. So he's pushing 70. But he's got a spry step to him and is a dab hand with a blade. And he launches at you with another attack.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a look at the attack rules. So when we're attacking in a duel... Whoa, slow down. Now, in a duel, you have yourself, the target, and you have 2 guards. There are 3 zones. There's the personal zone, and then there are the 2 guard zones. One of your guard zones has currently got a knife in it. The other one is currently behind your back. His 2 guard zones are his dueling blade, his half shield, and his target is obviously himself inside the half shield. Now, what you need to do is manipulate the maneuvers and the positions to such a point where you can either penetrate his guard positions or work around them.
Seems fair.
So assets here would consider things like melee weapons, subtle weapons, ranged weapons, shields, and armor. Now, he's got a shield and he's got a melee weapon. You only have a melee weapon at the minute. So he does have a slight advantage. He's going to make the first attack if you won't move on him. Okay, so he's going to try and take out your blade. So he attacks your blade, which is your guard. He gets a success in attempting to do so. Now, you, in exchange, and then do something. So choose an asset to use in the attack. Based on the type of attack you're making, choose an appropriate skill and drive, as well as a focus. Roll your contest. If you win, your attack is successful. So it's a contested roll. So you're rolling your dueling skill against his.
Okay. And my asset is my one knife that I have out, or can I?
So that gives you a bonus because it's your one bonus knife.
Yeah. Okay. So dueling short blades as a focus. Battle
Yep.
Which would be 8. Now, what would my drive be in this? Am I fighting for the house, or am I just having fun? That's
I
the
think this is
problem.
more having fun.
Yeah.
Power.
No, this is power. This
Yeah.
is totally power.
This is totally power.
This is totally and
Establishing your position as
This
the
is
true
being
sword
able
master.
to prove that you could beat the man who trained you.
So that's a 14 with 2 focuses.
Okay, do you want to
And
use
my
any momentum?
What can I do with my momentum?
Add an
Add a
extra
dice.
dice.
add more dice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beowulf's
Use
in
one.
chat going, do it, use
Of
momentum.
course I will.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 dice.
Yep.
Yep.
Find somewhere to roll them. A 15, which is a miss, and 2 successes, a 12 and a 6.
So that's 4 successes because you have
Successes,
focus. Against his 2 successes, because obviously he has a focus in the long blade. So he strikes at your blade. His attack fails and opens him up to a riposte from you. What do you want to do?
I think at that point I sort of parry his attack away underhand so that his arm comes around, and then I'll pull my other knife to come in and place it near his moustache.
Okay.
Not
So
the
now you roll an
moustache.
attack against him,
Yep.
and he rolls to defend against you. He's got an asset here, which is his half shield.
I have one as well. Just thinking, how much momentum have we got left? Only 3.
Got 3 left, and
Three is lots.
it's coming up on the end of the
Go on.
session, so
I'll
you're
use.
fine.
Yeah, I'll use another one. A critical,
Oh.
but that's just 2 hits anyway. 6 and an 18, so 4 again.
Or again, your blade slides in through his half shield and sort of sneaks up underneath his moustache blade first.
And as he's looking at me, I'll go, "You remember that Guinness woman you were talking about? Didn't remember you at all."
He's savage, this boy.
Isn't he? Give it a handful.
And then
He puts both his hands up and then reaches the unbladed hand down to turn off the shield.
at that point, I'm just gonna, as he's reaching down, I'm just gonna come in, but rather than cut him or anything, just hug him.
Hug attack.
Excellent work, boy. Excellent. Your form is spectacular. Fantastic footwork. Don't think I didn't notice the little pas de deux that you did there. That was beautiful stuff.
Well, I started learning from the best, and then I actually learned from the best.
Savage, savage young man. I love it. Fantastic. You've even got the quips going. I'm astonished. You've done your house proud, boy. Done your house proud, I say.
Yeah, we'll see about that later.
He unbuckles his sword belt, sheaths his sword, and goes, I want you to take this and wear it. This is the sword of Dargosh. Only a true swordsmaster can carry this, and you've proven yourself that today, boy. Strap that on and everybody will know exactly where you trained.
I'm deeply, deeply honored.
You've done an
I
old man proud, boy. You've done an old man proud.
I'll strap it on at the opposite side of my front knife so that it's clear for everyone
Duel
to see.
central now, isn't it?
And he claps your hand in that sort of big, manly hero dueling salute thing, and then pulls you in for another hug.
Yeah.
And
Hugs
wipes
were
a
a
little
big part
tear
of
away
duels.
from one eye as he wanders off back into the house.
I'll sort of look around sneakily and make sure
There's
everyone's
about
seen
15 people peeking out of windows and balconies, looking at what's going on. A couple of the young ladies who work for the house are somewhat flustered, and more than one or two of the young men.
Ayla will make sure to walk past them just close enough that they
Swoon?
not necessarily swoon,
Smell
but
him,
notice me passing. And I'll adjust the flower, which stayed perfectly still in my brocading.
So a
as I
very
went.
quick little duel, but one that demonstrated true mastery of the blade.
Bravo.
While that's been going on, Isaac has snuck the laser into your big brother's room using the distraction of the duel in order to make it happen. Gretchen and Morgan have completed their business with the doctor, and she's now running a test on the needle. She comes back to you a little while later and says it's a Tlilaxu venom. Viral. Like rabies. Only stronger and targeted against humans. Whoever this jabbed would become a homicidal maniac in minutes. It's very fast acting, and they would just be on a killing spree shortly thereafter.
Who would use such a thing?
Well, there are markers that suggest it's not Tlilaxu, but based on a Tlilaxu venom. So I have reason to suspect that somebody with significant skill in biotechnology has reverse engineered a Tlilaxu poison and taken this opportunity to try and use it against the house at a time when we are potentially vulnerable. I suggest you waste no further time and get yourselves and whatever equipment you need up to the Highliner before anything else can be added to our payload that we're not expecting.
Good advice. I will ping my team and get them to round up the rest of the party and escort them to the shuttle. I will complete my report and file it to the War Master.
So Dela and Isaac, you're both approached by guardsmen. These guys aren't carrying halberds and they're not wearing the sort of ceremonial uniform of the house. They're wearing the, we're going on mission, but we also have our dress uniforms with us kind of look about them. They're both carrying
A lot of
a
leather
knife.
and tape, basically.
They're both carrying a knife at their hip and both carrying dart gun rifles. Each one discreetly approaches you. So Dela, you are approached by a guardsman who says, "My lord, Sergeant Morgan has found something and wishes for you to attend the shuttle to the Highliner at your earliest convenience."
Of course, I'm at Sergeant Morgan's disposal.
Isaac, you were also approached by a guardsman. Mentat, Sergeant Morgan has requested your attendance on the shuttle leading up to the Highliner. He has information to share with you.
Very well. Thank you for your service to the house.
And shortly thereafter, you all meet up on the launching platform. Dela, it's only been sort of 8 hours since you were last on this shuttle. And here you are getting back on it. It's been refueled, it's been cleaned. And when you arrive, you can see that Morgan and Gretchen are waiting at the foot of the stairs. Isaac slides in beside you, almost invisibly, as you walk out of the station. A contingent of guardsmen are loading, instead of the loaders and the bearers loading the shuttle, there are a contingent of guardsmen loading everything on, checking everything over. And there's rather more guards than usual. When you came off the shuttle earlier, there were ceremonial guards in floofy hats and halberds. The guards that are lining the slipway to the launch now are much more serious looking fellows with swords, knives, sharp sticks, personal
Soon
shields
as
on all of them.
yes,
I'll jump Morgan. Gretchen.
as soon as Dalla appears, I'll be like, shoulder arms. Dalla, Isaac,
Sergeant
Gretchen.
Gruff, I see that your investigation bore fruit.
We should make our way onto the shuttle now.
Absolutely. Just please make sure you keep my name out of any of your reports about this incident. I prefer to be discreet.
You
very
have
good
my
at it.
thanks. And this will be remembered.
Isaac's got really long fingers, hasn't he? I can tell by his voice.
It's got the extra finger joints.
So you all pile onto the shuttle then?
We're all piled onto the
follow
shuttle.
my
I have a
advices.
report which I want to file.
Yep, you said you were filing that before you got on the ship, so I'm happy for that to have occurred.
I would actually like to check with... I'd like to take a moment with this minor court. To... The information that we have all gathered, but you are gracious enough to give to my name, is that sat best with the spy master or the war master, given the gravity of the situation? Isaac, you were not here when we discovered one of the fields had been sabotaged in such a way as its explosion would have not only damaged this shuttle but the Highliner once we were upon it. That
Devious.
is a grave act.
But a very intelligent one. It would be my recommendation, if we are to link this back to any particular adversary, that the spy master might be best suited to make that connection. No offense to the war master.
Well, he's an old fool.
Morgan.
He is very much of the stand in a line and walk slowly towards the enemy kind of war master.
I'm going to rely on your expertise in this situation. File it with whoever you deem best served with this information.
Thank you. I will file it with Mentat Arachne. Ping pong.
A wise choice, my friend.
You receive an acknowledgement that your report has been received.
All I would expect. And then it disappears off my own handheld.
And the shuttle takes off and heads up into space. I would like everybody to make an observation roll of their choice, some form of detecting thing kind of roll, as you are boarding the Highliner. Depending on your choice, will give you different information.
Oh.
So this is where I am at my strength right now, because I can say, make a finding things out roll, and everybody will pick the role that suits them best. It's perfect for me.
I think Isaac would go with truth and understand, because he has a focus and danger sense. So I think that's what he's trying to suss out.
Yep, your
Is
danger
there-
sense focus will be appropriate here as well.
And if everyone is okay, I will spend a single point of momentum for that roll.
I'm going to go with battle and duty, using my constantly watching, so detecting danger, because I am primarily concerned with the safety of the party at this point.
I got a 2, a 3, and a 9 for a total of 5 successes.
Youch.
Wow. Powers.
I will use my discipline to observe, pay attention to all the details of how people move and speak and which eyebrow twitches when they mention something, and probably truth. Yeah, truth.
Okay.
I'll use them.
So, Alden, what did you get?
I got 2 successes.
And Millie, what did you get?
2 successes.
2 successes. And Lewis, what did you get?
I am going to roll on understand, house
Yep.
politics, and power.
Good choice.
2 successes.
Okay. Well, as your shuttle enters the Highliner is an immense tube floating in space. It almost seems to be comprised of separate sections, all rotating about one another. As you enter the tube, you can see that there are ships from dozens of minor houses within. Clearly, a lot of people are going to be going to this party. There are not a lot of great houses in attendance, not on this Highliner anyway. Perhaps coming from the other direction, there might be others. But there are a good dozen lesser houses here. You notice, Morgan, that Von Meer is among them. And that from what you've seen, they're coming from the same system as you as well. They are the single greatest threat to your house at present. Isaac, you notice not only that Von Meer are there, but that they are parked quite close to a Harkonnen vessel, which is interesting because the Harkonnens are already on Arrakis. So why more Harkonnens would be going there raises a number of questions. Dela, you are keenly aware that this is a shark pit of minor house politics. It might be the kiddie pool, but it's going to be savage out there because these people have got more to gain and less to lose than the great houses have. So there's going to be a lot of jockeying for power and position when you get to Arrakis. And Gretchen, while you're not really allowed to interact with many of the other people once the ship is loading, in fact, you're kept separate from everybody else's section to avoid any chances of conflict. The chatter that you hear, the banter and conversations that are going on over open channels suggests to you that deals are already being struck between some of the houses. People are having these very minor, innocuous conversations that are riddled with innuendo that suggests that plans are being made, contacts are being laid, steps are being put in place to act on when you get to Arrakis. There is going to be a lot to unravel when you get there. Dela, with the combined information from the other three, as well as your own knowledge, you're able to put together a fairly thorough picture of exactly who's going to be involved. And next session, I'll give you a bit of a breakdown of what other houses there are and a little bit of information about them so that you go in a little bit forearmed. But you build up a fairly accurate picture, and Dela's assessment is good. This is going to be a fight in the kiddie pool with a couple of the big boys in there as well. The guild navigator arrives after their brief break. The Highliner is locked down. All doors and windows are shut and blocked off. And there is a brief lurch as the navigator accesses their powers to punch a hole through space and time, using the Holtzman drives to push the ship to a place of their choosing. And the next thing you know, the windows are opening above a yellow-brown rock floating in space close to its sun, a green moon just visible in the lower quadrant of the planet. No sign of clouds or moisture, tiny white spots at the poles, suggesting that there may be polar ice, but in very short supply. You have arrived at Arrakis, jewel of the Empire, seat of House Harkonnen, and currently the subject of the handover between Harkonnen and Fenring, as Count Hasimir Fenring, friend of the Emperor, stands ready to take control of Arrakis from House Harkonnen. And we shall end the session there, in orbit above Arrakis. Bam, bam, bam. Bless the maker and his water, bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world, and may he keep the world for his people. Thank you one and all for joining us this evening. Thank you, players. Some fantastic introductions to some characters there, really showcasing their strengths and their beliefs and the inherent Juniness of what you've got going on. And yes, Juniness is now a word.
Yeah.
Some brilliant stuff there. Thank you, everybody in chat, for joining us, for the raids, for the rerolls, for the momentum. Loads to be getting on with there. Really appreciate everybody's attendance. Join us next week on Garblag. On Monday, we have The Expanse, the finale of Abzu's Bounty. Come and listen to our fantastic accents, especially Leon's, which is the best.
Yes.
Yes.
He's put a lot
Yes,
of
it
effort
is.
in that one. It's perfect.
On Tuesday, join us for what's on Tuesday, Millie?
Coriolis.
Coriolis.
Oh, more space.
More
Coriolis
space.
has come to Garblag.
So much space.
All the space.
And some spectacular world building in the evening.
And in the evening, some spectacular world building for Streetlight Nights, where Garblag North America are going to be taking on their bit of the world building for our shared universe spectaculars megathon. And hopefully you're going to persuade some of the characters to change their names.
Well, I have no control.
Gritty, grimdark, street level. Hello, who are you? I am Meat Man.
I thought
that's pretty
Grendel.
good.
I thought
Sure.
Grendel was
Grendel's
perfectly
awesome.
appropriate, but
I was less convinced by Meat Man. Wednesday, of course, we have Once Upon a Time in the Old World, our Woofrup 4th edition spectacular, where Jim continues to fire curveball after curveball at the players, and they have to accommodate it or die.
and it may very well be die on Wednesday.
Thursday, we've got Millie again.
Operation Deep Shaft.
I'm sorry, what now?
Deep Shaft. It refers to mining, no doubt.
Yes. It
Oh,
does.
right. Okay, good.
Yes.
Just checking.
The continuation of Alien Colonial Marines Frontier War.
Yep.
Fantastic. And then next Friday, the actual landing on Arrakis, the confrontation with the party, and the shenanigans that ensue thereof.
I think we're going to need a secretary just to keep the order of all of Dallar's jewels, just so that he doesn't miss any.
That's why we brought a mentat. The
'Cause
perfect.
I can feel
Yeah.
that schedule getting filled quite quickly.
Are we going to be musketeering this up?
Yeah, basically, that's what I'm seeing happening.
You have a duel with me at 2:30, but you have a duel here with my brother at 2.
Fine.
You'll have to wait while I finish this duel.
For the queue.
Yeah.
Lovely, brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week on Garblag. I do like getting to wrap up the week. It makes me feel important. I'm going to let Millie switch me off now. Thank you, and good night.
Bye.